Master Rabbi Jesus's promises, when you think about it, are the unmanifested. Think about it for a while. Joy, things of immortal glory. I mean, all of these. So when you look at, there's man's emotions, just like there's man's DNA. There's God's emotions, and there's God DNA. When you think about joy and love and peace and gratitude and thankfulness and purpose, whoa, you're talking about godliness. That's what you do. We were raised up as little kids, and you would walk into your aunt's house. Everybody probably had an aunt or a grandmother. You'd walk in the house and you were almost scared to sit down and touch the furniture because it was immaculate. And when you turned to them, what was the first thing out of their mouth? Cleanliness, Rasaji, is godliness. So we know all of these are adjectives, adverbs, or extension of God, right? But then we have all these other emotions. And see, what you've got to learn to do, right? Tomorrow's daily Lama is no worry, no hurry. What you got to learn to do is you need to learn to shift your emotional, psychological power to what you want to vibrate, what you want to manifest in your life. Well, when you say that I'm not manifesting this and that, yes, Jimmy's right. First of all, begin not to say it. That's, for most people, easier said than done in the beginning. The whole reason for Tai Chi Gong is to slow you down first physically. And this is what I want you to get this. Then the mind takes the back seat in Tai Chi Gong. The mind will say, oh, he's wanting me to slow down. Maybe it's a good idea that I slow my mind down. Well, as you breathe oxygen and energy, you put space between your thought processes. And instead of your inner clock doing this, it starts to do this. Now you're a more conscious being, and you can do this between thoughts. And you go, whoa, I'm going to entertain this one. Oh, you're not in my life anymore. And eventually you will do that with thought processes. But when you get strong one day, when you become, your spirit is willing, like Master Rabbi Jesus, when you get that kind of strong, you will start to remove things, and you will start to remove people who don't feed you. Remember what I said earlier. God created this whole system so that everybody is partaking of this energy field. When you really examine the trades of goods and services, really, what is it an exchange of? It's an exchange of vibration. It's an exchange of energy. See, at the core of all of creation, which includes goods and services, is creation is you. You know what I learned from a great City Yoga master? He said, Lama Rasaji, I was able to make 3 people a millionaire, mentoring to them the last 5 or 10 years before I could make myself a millionaire. First thing that hit me, obviously, was self-image, right? That's probably what hit you, right? Now, this guy, a couple of years later, had 700 acres in Sierraville, California. Watch this. Hot and cold springs. Can you imagine natural jacuzzis that God created that had all the trace minerals in the water that you needed in the body? You could jump in these hot and cold water jacuzzis, and it was like jumping in the Dead Sea. you were like instantly healed. And people who had, like in the warm water, women were delivering babies there because they logically began to think, if you knew about our episode on birth trauma and death urge, you would know, wow, it really makes sense to deliver a child that's been at 98.6 temperature for 9 months into a water that's close to 98.6, then into a hospital room that's 66 degrees Fahrenheit. Just maybe there would be less trauma. See, again, God's way is God's way. It's not man's way. God's laws are not man's laws. Lamas were sent here to tell you the difference and then explain for you how to understand them, absorb them, and then the most important thing, use them. And when you use these in your life, oh my God, the abundance, you understand what Master Rabbi Jesus meant by, I come to you to bring you a life and a life more abundantly.
Yes.
What he's saying is everything around you is feeding you. God the Father is feeding you through his soul. He splintered your soul. God the Mother, if you will, or Mother Nature, if you want to call her that, and you feel that makes you feel better, through her nature is psychically feeding you through earth, air, water, and fire, the sun and the moon. You're getting a vitamin level that is even more powerful than your DNA in your body. Then I mentioned everything we grow in the earth is either medicinal to help us or to keep the genome of the human body at a balanced pH and acidic level, which promotes health and longevity, right? So when you're listening to him and following his way and understanding that energy is the currency of life, and the more energy you can get, it's the whole reason the Lama wrote the first book, The Circle of Life, because the first half of the book is, how do you get more energy? Now, the second half of that book is, how do you share that energy? Well, an investigation of reading the Bible for decades, one day it hit me. God, the word work is like the third or fourth most common word used all throughout the Old and New Testament, all the way from the Garden of Eden to through the Acts of the Apostles. And I'm thinking, you know what? It must have been important, or why would God use that word all the time?